Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bowles Central. I'm not supposed to do one of these on-camera mental health videos until the first part of December, but it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it early. I just like screw it. It's my channel. So this month, I want to talk about when sorry isn't enough. Now, where to begin? I tend to over apologize for stuff, and I kind of always have, but it's really gotten bad in recent years. Like, I'll say sorry at the drop of a hat. Anybody who knows me knows that I over apologize. I apologize for everything. And partly that's because through my mental illness, I have encroached, I have crossed lines. So it's almost like I don't ever know when to say sorry. Like, I don't know when it's appropriate anymore because I always worry that I should be sorry for something somewhere that I've done, even if it's not really the case. Um, but I want to talk about when like sorry isn't enough. Uh, and by that I mean we can apologize all we want about the things that we do. You know, as someone who suffers from a mental health disorder, if you suffer from a mental health disorder, you know someone who does. Like I said, there are times that we encroach. There are times that we cross lines. All of us on this planet, in fact, as it turns out. But what I'm really saying is that it doesn't really matter how much you apologize, because I think that I think that people tend to forget that as human beings, we're all working on our own individual framework, mental framework. We're all kind of running on our own operating system that is unique from anybody else's operating system, right? And imagine all that incompatibility. In computing terms, imagine if every single computer on the planet had a different OS. It'd be a mess. And that's kind of what relationships can be like sometimes, even though we don't really process it that way. But the truth is that I can apologize as much as I want, but maybe what I'm really trying to get through is someone else's opinion of me. Someone else's how they feel about me or what I've done to them is kind of inconsequential, because they can take it any way they want. They can process it any way they want. And that has nothing to do with me, because I can do the thing, and maybe it was out of place or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's just me, because we're all operating on our own crap. Again, this operating system jargon. um, but that's not something that's your fault. And it also doesn't mean that that person is unforgiving. It doesn't mean that that person is a bad person. It doesn't mean that person doesn't care about you. It doesn't mean that person doesn't love you. They are who they are, and they have their own limitations and they have their own strengths. But more importantly, they see things differently from you. Everybody, more or less, right? And we always have this fog that we have to contend with of thoughts and perceptions and judgments. And, you know, it seems like for me, mostly people's judgments have been middling to fair to poor. Um, and I have felt the need to apologize again and again and again, even when I don't do anything wrong. And if you're like me and you feel guilty for having done things, just realize that maybe sometimes it's not you. Maybe this seems elementary to you too. Maybe it should. But the only point being that um, nothing is certain. You just never know when it comes to people. I think at this point in my life, I'm still willing to believe that most people are just genuinely okay. They're good. They're good. Like, I don't have a problem with people. Um, but we do each other all sorts of wrongs and violence. No violence that we do each other is so pernicious and evil, hard to weed out, than the violence we commit against each other in our own minds. And if you're willing to accept that about yourself, you got to be willing to accept it about other people. That's the way I see it. So why hold on to guilt? Why even bother with it? Like, why? I guess I can just speak for myself. Why do I hang on to my guilt? And maybe you can speak for yourself. Why do you hang on to your guilt? Like, who are we doing it for? Are we doing it for ourselves? Are we doing it for other people? Are we doing it because we don't know what else to do? Are we doing it because it's habit? It's comforting in some way. It's kind of comforting mental illness in a weird way. It's seriously dysfunctional and painful, like really really painful sometimes, even physically sometimes painful. It's particularly comforting. It's simultaneously messed up and painful and comforting. You kind of come to seek a little solace in being a little off kilter. That's how it seems to me. Like, ultimately, you have to break through. You have to be the one, like, because you're always responsible. It doesn't matter as far as the world sees it, and maybe as far as we should see it too. It doesn't matter that we are sorry, that we feel guilty, that we've tried to atone, that we've. It doesn't matter because what we did still have consequences. The things that we do still have consequences. What I did has still had consequences. It continues to have consequences. So you've got to be the one to forge your own way. And sometimes when you're buried under by all this shit, boy, it's hard. It's hard to pick yourself up sometimes. No, you can't account for that. You can't account for other people, but you can. I think you can do two things simultaneously. I think you can be cognizant of other people's uh, needs and boundaries, and expectations. And if you encroach on those things in a serious way, I guess apologizing once or twice, not like I do all the time. But you do have to keep in mind, I think, that everybody's got opinions, man. Yeah, well, like, that's just your opinion, man. Okay. I suppose I'll do this again in January, but if I'm early and I do it in December, sue me. Try it. I got the best lawyers in town. Not true. I don't even know that many lawyers. Hey, everybody, do me a favor. This is my latest novel, Resurrection Mixtape. It's funny, it's got tons of music in it, it's horrific, it's fast, it's brutal, and it's creative, and I think you'll like it. It's available on Amazon in any territory you can imagine. Please do pick up a copy. That way I can pocket the change, all 70 cents of it. I think I get about 70 cents per copy. I don't think you're supposed to admit how much you actually get paid per copy, but I get about 70 cents. So that's 70 cents. That's 70 pennies in the old bank. Can't beat that.